Good morning. Welcome to another episode of The Conversation here on TOS Television Network, your digital first Pan-African news network. It's a bright Monday here in Nigeria's capital city, Abuja, and my name is Adesuwasi. On The Conversation today, we're going to be talking about something that every Nigerian is talking about. So a bloody Sunday trended yesterday across the country, and that was because of the carnage that happened at the Catholic church in Ondo state, where gunmen disguised as worshippers and went and massacred people, that went, to church to worship on a Sunday morning, leaving many dead, including children. And that has sparked a conversation across the country. Government, everyone is talking about it. And so today on the show, we're going to be looking into, the church massacre. And to join me in having that conversation in the studio is Adewale Fajana, a clergy and a businessman. Good morning and welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me. Good morning.
Yeah, it's a pleasure to have you. Now let's get straight into it. So, like I said earlier, gunmen disguised as worshippers and went to a church on Sunday morning where people, so to speak, went to worship and ended up opening fire, explosive, and killing a lot of people on a Sunday morning. How does that speak to you? First as a clergy and then as a Yoruba man, because that also happened, in the West.
Thank you, Adesuwa. It indeed was a very bloody day.
Yeah.
It was a dark Sunday.
Yeah.
Growing up, I remember reading the book Murder in the Cathedral.
Yes.
It was something that was a bit topical growing up, but now it's a reality that we're experiencing. And the experience in Owo yesterday at St. Francis Xavier Cathedral was murder in the cathedral with more blood, more dead bodies, more people right there in the midst of worship.
Yeah.
So it was a very, very sad experience that people right in the midst of a sacred activity. Worship is sacred.
Yeah.
They were attacked and killed and maimed, and many people died and very many more people were injured.
Yeah.
Right there, without conscience, without care and concern. It's the height of evil. For me, that is the height of evil. Typically, places of worship are regarded as sacred places.
And safe too.
And safe too.
Yeah.
Under the Article 27 of the International Convention on Laws and Wars, on shellings, places of worship are regarded as, safe houses.
No-go areas.
They are supposed to be no-go areas where we are not supposed to experience shelling, bombing, killing. But guerrilla warfare doesn't understand Article 27 of the ICRC. So it's a really, really sad situation. And we hope that the government is able to respond to that attack, because it will embolden more people to do such on other places of worship. And that's just going to leave us in a very difficult situation.
Okay, let me make this a little bit more personal. This happened barely a week after the head, of the Methodist Church in Nigeria was kidnapped, and the church had to pay over 100 million naira to secure his release.
True.
And then this is happening. And I think it was 2 days ago we had somebody burned here in Abuja over alleged blasphemy. And there was one that also happened in Sokoto State last month that everybody was talking about.
True.
Does this come off as some sort of maybe attack on the church or Christianity, so some sort of religious cleansing?
Absolutely, absolutely. And I think we've always known that there's an attack or there's an agenda against the church, against Christians particularly. And you will see the spate of these attacks on churches, on worship houses across Nigeria, in the north, in the south, the north central, at every part of the country. Churches in the southeast have been attacked. Worshippers were kidnapped.
Yes.
Right? The prelate of the Methodist Church, like you mentioned, was kidnapped and was only released until ransom was paid.
Yeah.
So it's a call for concern by worshippers, by Christians, by non-Christians alike, by even the global community. There is a need for us to focus on the security situation in Nigeria. And our military forces need to maybe do a little bit more. The government also needs to do a little bit more. Our churches are becoming soft targets. areas where people can be killed and maimed in their numbers almost on a weekly basis. So we need to reinforce security around our churches. And I would also encourage the immediate communities around the church to please provide some sort of security cover for the churches, particularly during the times of worship.
But what can they really do, though? Let me ask this to you as a Nigerian. How does it really feel as a Nigerian to know that this might happen again, and then maybe the best that the government would do is to express shock and disappointment, and then maybe fly over there to express condolence, to pay condolence visits, and then the worst or the best punishment that the perpetrators would get is some sort of rehabilitation and amnesty. How does that make you feel?
I think it makes me think Nigeria is a joke, because one, this is not the first time such is happening, and there is no guarantee that it's not going to happen again. There are no arrests. People that were arrested were released, most often times released by the security forces, under the claim that they are being rehabilitated. They go back into the communities and they do worse than they previously did. So we need to review and revamp our security architecture and ensure that for persons who are involved in this kind of evil act, they are made to pay the full price, to face the full weight of the law, and ensure that we build confidence in the current or in the security infrastructure as we have it. Reinforce what we have to ensure that that does not happen again.
Okay.
Very important.
It does feel, though, that Nigeria, keeps taking from its people to the point where it's almost looking like they want to take, I think Nigerians are very empathetic people. They get to feel what the neighbor is feeling and all of that. So, and it's looking like even that is almost taken away from Nigeria. So you hear this and it's like, oh, another one has happened, something like that. And going back to, all this happening in the Yoruba land, the Afenifere called it a direct assault on Yoruba land. Absolutely. As a Yoruba man, do you feel that way?
I feel that way, right? It's a declaration of war of some sort. But I believe that as clergy, we have a responsibility to peace. We have a responsibility to mobilize our followers to ensure that there is calm, there are no reprisals, because the possibility of reprisals is on the increase. If that happens to another church, the so-called northern community or Fulani community, they could become targets, and that is not what we want. That is not what we preach. So I would use this opportunity to encourage our people to be calm, Christians, believers to be prayerful, to be careful as well, and ensure that this does not further deteriorate the shaky security situation in our country. We're going into an election year. We don't want war. We don't want crisis. We want peace. As Christians, we stand for peace. We campaign for peace, but there must be justice. We must not say because we want peace, we support injustice. Injustice to one is injustice to all. So we call for peace, we call for calm, but we ask that the security personnel should do their job, and the government, Section 14 of the Constitution provides that the safety of life and property shall be the priority responsibility of every government. So the government needs to sit up and ensure that it provides security, and in practical terms, ensure that our churches are not being targeted, even mosques are being targeted. So security should ensure that our places of worship do not become soft targets for evil people and for people who want to have a taste of blood. Okay,
this is me putting you on the spot right now. I think I'm going to ask you two questions in one. The first one is, you think that Christians as a body are too laid back? Because I'm saying this because I think a lot of times people have said when things happen, the only thing that Christians say is, oh, pray for this, pray for the church, pray for this. But if other religions will take action, I think if this is flipped and something like this, maybe, people of Christian faith happen to go to a mosque and open fire, I think something would have been done, immediately. But it feels as though the Christians are just pretty laid back. Not that nothing has been done except, pray for the church. So, do you think that that's a thing?
So we do not have, as Christians, we are not called to violence. And Christianity does not it's not propagated on the wings of violence. So we will not call people to arms, but under the Constitution, you have a responsibility to defend yourself. You have a responsibility to defend your property. You have the responsibility to defend your life and the life of your immediate family. So if there is any threat to your person, to your church, you have a responsibility under the law to take measures to self-defense.
Okay.
So self-defense, yes, is allowed.
Okay.
However, a call to war is not godly.
Okay.
It's
Okay.
unchristianly.
Okay.
But self-defense, yes, you can defend yourself under the law.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
That's actually great.
Yeah.
It's good to hear that.
Yeah.
We're actually out of time, but I want to quickly ask you something. It's a yes or no question. Do you still see the point of us as Nigerians, like staying together as a country? Do you still see the point?
I think we are better off as a country because there are Christians all over Nigeria. If we go apart on religious lines or
Religious and ethnicity.
and ethnic lines, it's a win-win for nobody. Because there will be Christians on both sides of the divide. In my family, I have Muslims and there are Christians. And in my office, I have Northerners and I'm a Southerner.
Okay.
So across Nigeria, we've related, all right? And we're cohabiting in a sense. We can only get better. And I want to call on the government and political leaders, traditional rulers, religious leaders, to ensure that this idea of unity and peace is allowed and is, reinforced in Nigeria so that we can have prosperity.
Okay.
Mental prosperity, physical prosperity, prosperity in our relationship as different ethnic groups. We must take that message out and ensure that what happened in Owo yesterday does not happen again.
All right. Thank you so much for sharing your thoughts with me in the conversation this morning.
Thank you for listening.
Yes, and my heart goes out to everyone, who has been affected by, Nigeria as a country, because it does feel like Nigeria happens to all of us directly or indirectly. Thank you again for joining me on the conversation this morning. Do not forget that you can continue the conversation across our social media platforms. It's TOS TV Network on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. Subscribe to the channel on YouTube. It's TOS TV Network. And of course, stream our website, www.tostvnetwork.com, for news, stories and happenings from across the world. My name is Ade, so I'll see you. Please join me again tomorrow.